How's it going, listeners? Welcome back to Cubold Cast. In this episode, we're going to be going over the first Alan Wake game.
And for the video watchers right now, we have a giant Alan Wake in the window right now.
I love that.
It's kind of creepy looking.
There's actually music or like sound to it too. I think it was a theme of the game.
I don't know. I don't remember the theme.
I didn't hear it, so I don't know.
Oh, we got Melon in the chat too.
Melon,
I
What's up,
can't
Melon?
read that. What does that say?
he finally gets to come to a live stream.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we're doing it earlier this week because
I'm busy this
he's
weekend.
busy.
I think last podcast we talked about having snow, but we had it, our first snow, and we're in the Northeast. So you'd think it'd be more common.
Yeah,
It's
I
not.
know.
Not in the past 3 years.
I had to drive home in that, and it was really annoying.
Yeah, Zevi, Alan Wake.
Alan.
The highways,
Wake.
like I went the highway, and usually the highways are more clear, but there's a lot of people on the highway,
Yeah.
and so I was stuck going like 10 miles an hour for
Actually,
a while.
it
So I
was-
got off.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I went on this was yesterday. I went on it was yesterday, I think. I went on a walk and at the trail, and it had snowed on Sunday and it had rained on Monday as well as melted the snow. And there's this trail that's in our town. This is what it looked like. That's the benches.
Is that ice or is that
That's water.
Wow.
That's the bench area.
Is that the river?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
What?
It was completely
flooded?
everything was just flooded. Just crazy.
Staying on track for the game, but that reminds me of the flooding in Alan Wake 2. Like there are these sections of the area that are completely flooded by the river, and you can't access them at first, and then later on you go back once the flooding recedes.
That's the second game I haven't played yet.
Yeah, but we're talking about the first game only, not even the DLCs. Well, we'll discuss the
We'll
DLCs.
mention the DLCs because it's a part of the first game.
We'll have a spoiler section, which we couldn't find the banner for it. So
Yeah.
just don't skip ahead.
Yeah,
We'll have to put
we'll give
chapters
warning.
in. I'll put
Um,
chapters in when I publish it.
So something about a Switch 2 potentially
I
launching.
saw that.
Yeah, something about
Is
it.
that a Switch 2 or is it a Switch
So
Pro?
there's a lot of rumors right now. There's also rumors about a PS5 Pro that's supposedly they're announcing this month. I don't know. I don't see the need for it, honestly.
Mhm.
Like, what more could they add? Some people say there's 8K support, but who has an 8K TV?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because it's not about the games like the PlayStation itself. It's about the developers taking advantage of the hardware. So it's like
Well, what was the only game that had trouble? Was it you were
Final
talking?
Fantasy 16.
Yeah, you said it was awful.
I played the demo and I was thinking about getting it,
Yeah.
and as soon as I played the demo, I'm like, "There's no way I'm buying this. This is I don't know how people play it
I
like
don't
this."
But you know what's kind of on the 8K thing? I saw recently on a news report or whatever. Did you guys see that LG released like its first transparent TV?
I didn't see that. No.
It looks
Really?
insane. I mean, I don't know
Huh.
why you would buy it. I mean, maybe for like the minimalist look, but I think it's like way
Is it like
up
a
there.
paper TV?
It's literally like, I mean, it's transparent. It's like if you had a glass in front of you, but you could see like,
So
Oh,
weird.
so like Star Wars holograms. kind of
yeah,
thing?
basically.
Huh. I saw a thumbnail from a Linus Tech Tips video where he had like a 200-inch TV or something insane, like the biggest in the world. And it was like, I'm keeping this TV or something. Was the
Did they
title.
send it to him for free?
I don't know.
They probably get
maybe.
them for free.
You know what's weird? Speaking on the YouTuber thing, Matt Pat is leaving YouTube.
I saw that.
Plus, there was
yeah.
that. I don't know the other guy. You guys know who I'm talking about? The other guy left YouTube.
Yeah.
Tom Scott.
Yeah, I never knew. I don't even know what he
him.
made.
Yeah.
Ben
There's
was
also
obsessed
another
with
guy.
him.
He did like those meme song videos. The bald guy. I'm sure you guys have seen him.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're
I
talking about.
forget. I don't remember his name.
Oh, Meat Canyon's taking a break.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, from at least like the content that we know him for.
It's sad.
I forget what the
Beyond the Golden
Seth-
Arches.
Seth
Papa Meat.
something. I gotta look him up now.
Papa Meat is Melon.
Why am I drawing a blank on his last name?
Don't make you cry again.
Oh, you know that the guy that's kind of like Linus Tech Tips, but he has gray hair.
Was he the guy that
He also makes like computer stuff.
Yeah, was
He's-
he the guy that covered the that one situation between Actman and the other dude? I don't know if you know about
I
that.
have no clue.
Oh.
This guy.
Don't know.
Yeah,
does, like,
I
these-
recognize him.
These little like songs, like really like not low quality, but he like recreates the songs by like hitting things on the wall or whatever. Like he
Oh.
he's pretty big. He was leaving as well.
It's just a weird start to the year. Like there's just so much happening.
Yeah, Melon got it. Seth Everman.
I mean, Smosh is back.
Well, they've been back. They went back
They have
last
been
year.
back,
But it's just a weird. Like it's just. I feel like it's gonna be a weird year.
yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah, which I haven't watched the Mad Pet video, but from what I read, he's just being in the creative department. He
Mhm.
just won't be like the face anymore.
Yeah, you can be like storyboarding and stuff.
But
think.
do you think the channel's gonna go downhill after that?
I don't know. Like, do people watch for him or do people watch for the theories?
I think
Oh.
a part of them likes the way he narrates the videos.
Yeah.
But there's another guy that's been doing it for a while. I can't remember his name, but I think he's taking the reins.
Which I've seen those before, and he talks exactly the same.
Mhm.
So I think it's just the scripting mainly.
I think that was on purpose too.
Yeah.
You watched for Matt Pat? It's funny.
Steamboat.
Steamboat Willie.
I stopped watching game theory as much. Like I looked at film theory to see if there's any relevant stuff every once in a while, but once he started doing all the FNAF ones, it was too much.
I actually
So
don't think
many.
I've watched a full game theory video.
I've
I used to watch
I've
them all
never
the time.
actually watched a full one
I
before.
don't. I watched the food theory actually, just like on the side. But yeah, he made too many FNAF videos. Like, it's just too much. Changed all the
Ridiculous.
time. But yeah, Steamboat Willie, I guess. Why? Because the Minnie Mouse or Mickey Mouse thing.
Mickey Mouse didn't go public. It was Steamboat Willie that went public.
Oh, okay.
Because Steamboat Willie came out. When was it?
So
was
that
like,
isn't Mickey Mouse.
no, it's not. It's Steamboat Willie. Mickey Mouse was made like years after
So
Steamboat
is
Willie.
Steamboat Willie related to Mickey Mouse?
No.
It was a separate IP that turned into Mickey Mouse.
Is Steamboat Willie breedable?
What?
Have you seen those videos? Have you seen those videos on YouTube where they're like, "Is this person breedable?"
That's something we got to clip.
That's so random.
I can't load the Alan Wake thing on here for some reason.
Oh,
Alan.
that's
I'm
weird.
going to data. See if that works.
Wake.
Is that the mobile?
Yeah.
What were we talking about?
Issue Melvin.
Steamboat Willie.
I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I don't know. They're also making a horror movie.
Steamboat Willie
I
horror
don't-
movie.
I'm pretty
No,
sure
no,
it was a meme that they were
Actually-
making a horror movie.
I thought that was real.
I don't know.
I mean, most likely because every time characters like that go, or their patent runs out, or whatever it's called, their copyright,
That's how
people
they're
make horror movies out of it.
that's how they're getting away with that mouse game. I didn't know it until recently.
Oh, really?
But yeah, because they couldn't actually like come out with it for a while until they had the rights to that. And so they're going to use some of his likeness in that or
I
something.
wonder
Mm.
how you even differentiate that.
No idea.
Mickey Mouse has red pants. Like
Just make it
Willie's
black and white and you're all good, I
I
guess.
always
Yeah.
thought it was Mickey Mouse. That's weird.
Yeah, it's
pretty much was. I don't know.
I
It's
think
weird.
what is it? Walt Disney or whatever came out with Steamboat Willie, and I don't know if it was his idea for Mickey Mouse. I think it was he made Steamboat Willie.
Mhm.
Mickey Mouse was made by someone else.
Something I didn't mention earlier when we talked about the Switch 2 is the rumor is it's going to be 120 hertz.
Oh.
I don't know.
if it can even hit that.
I doubt it because the games don't even take advantage of the hardware's outdated, so the games can't actually take advantage of the hardware.
You have to do like a whole rehaul. You
Yeah.
have to be like
They
a
need to make like
completely-
PS5 internals in that thing to make it
Yeah.
even
or
viable for
at
new games.
least Steam Deck internals.
At the very least.
Yeah.
But for a new console with 120 hertz, there needs to be some major changes.
Well, even Steam Deck doesn't hit 120, right?
No.
No, but the new one does.
It does 90.
Or 90. That's what it
Mhm.
was.
Man, that must look really good.
Mhm.
Yeah. I've never seen it, but I wanted to get one eventually.
Like indie games probably like look amazing on it
Mm-hmm.
because of like
Yeah.
it's just a steady 90 pretty much.
I think that's it
Um,
for the
Yeah.
opening stuff.
Pretty much.
Oh, well, there's the Star Citizen thing.
Oh, that's crazy.
Mm.
Star Citizen released what they're calling the everyday or the everything bundle, which is $40,000. Just like straight up $40,000.
That's crazy.
I mean, they've made like $600 million at this point.
What are they even doing? So they're making a universe that's like made, right? No procedural generation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And apparently, like, some things are kind of impressive, but also there's not a whole lot to even do.
I mean, the people that play it are like obsessed with it. It's like a very small community, but those are the people that are shilling out thousands of dollars for spaceships.
644 million.
$644. That's almost $1 billion.
I don't even know how that's possible, honestly. Like, who is spending money on this game?
What are they doing with
I
it?
feel like they're just role playing. I
Like,
feel like it's
they're not-
mostly role players.
Most of that is not going to the game.
Yeah,
Definitely not.
They're spending on themselves or something.
They don't need to make anything good if people are still paying it. I guess that's the same with all
Yeah.
developers. Like, if they make a subpar product and people buy it, why make something that's worth it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's crazy. $40,000 for DLC.
And that's only for people who already spent $1,000 in game. So it's for the people who are just have so much money they don't know what to do with it.
Which, I mean, I don't know.
CSGO
weird.
should do that. I feel like
CS:GO,
people
honestly,
buy it.
yeah.
People do that already, though.
Yeah.
I wonder how much money CSGO makes per day.
I don't know.
I'd be really
lot.
curious. They're not a public company, so it might not even be public,
Mhm.
all that data.
You could probably, there's probably sites that take into account of how much
Steam
money
sale?
they make
It's on
by
Steam, isn't it?
crates.
The Steam is on. Or you purchased it through Steam now, or
The
Is that-
crates you purchase through Steam and the keys you purchase through Steam, but there's like a secondary online shop where you could buy skins separately.
well, that's third party.
Yeah, it's third party.
Hmm.
But the crates and you can buy skins on Steam, but most people go through the third party ones,
Hmm.
which super sketchy.
For
Yeah.
whatever this site is, it says they make $54 million a month on just CS:GO cases alone.
People are like, it's not gambling. That's literally what
That's
gambling
crazy.
is. I don't understand. It's so annoying.
I keep seeing these YouTube titles for like all these gambling scams. How are people still doing this? Like, I've been seeing this for like 10 years.
What, gambling?
Yeah, these like YouTubers will set up like a CS:GO site for buying crates or whatever, and they're just scam sites.
I
Like,
don't know.
why would you ever go to any one of those? And why are people still getting away with this?
Because it works still. I don't know.
Unfortunately.
It's crazy to me.
But yeah, so let's get into Alan Wake.
Yeah.
Just the preferences. I didn't beat the game. I got to the end of chapter 6, and then
Chapter 5.
chapter 5, end of chapter 5, and there's 6 chapters in the game. And then I got just fed up with I just got fed up
combat.
with it. Yeah. So it's
which-
old.
The game is from 2010.
It's old
Yeah.
and it's janky sometimes. I don't know. I just didn't enjoy the gameplay.
Chug
really.
played it a while ago, right?
Well, what happened I basically started it, played through until chapter 3, and then stopped playing for I don't know why. Maybe another game came out,
I remember that.
and
You
then
started
and
it.
I just kind of stopped. And then like a month or two later, I started from chapter 4 to 6. So then maybe that's how it was easier for me to get through it, because I did half 1 month and I took a break, and then I did another half later on.
I did it all in one sitting though, and the weird thing is, like, I enjoyed the story a lot, and it was almost like two different things. Like, there was like the cutscenes and stuff, which were still old, but I'd watch through, and then it would go to the gameplay, which is like very repetitive and doesn't change much. Like, the music's very repetitive too.
Mhm.
It was almost like two separate things. Like, there's like the show aspect, and then there's the game.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I didn't really care for the gameplay either. I got annoyed at a lot of parts, but like the story is what kept me going.
Well, that's what I
Yeah.
mentioned to Caleb the other day. I said that's how I felt with the Uncharted games.
The
the
story
first
kept
3.
you going.
The story was like, oh, this is awesome. I love this.
Mhm.
And then I get to a gameplay section. I'm like,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah. I think it's a thing with the older games. Like when I played Uncharted years ago, I didn't notice the gameplay nearly as much because that's kind of how games were back then. But now we're so used to like God of War gameplay, and I'm sure the new Alan Wake gameplay is amazing.
Oh yeah, it
So-
is.
Like, when I played the Evil Within 1, I tried playing it on Steam Deck on the TV, and you were watching.
What?
It was so janky.
It was
Like,
very
I couldn't
janky.
get through it, especially after playing Resident Evil. And
Yeah.
like, it was a huge difference. Like, it just wasn't fun to play.
I mean, people that say that these older games, which I mean, they're really good, but people say that they love to play these older games and all these different things. It's mostly nostalgia
Hmm.
Yeah.
with the gameplay.
Certain games, like, there are certain games we played when we were younger that aren't janky. Like, a lot of games are just, they might have some outdated stuff, but the entire game isn't jank.
Mhm.
Like Terraria. When did that come out? Like 2012?
2011.
2011?
Yeah.
Like, that game still holds up. because they've added to it and improved it and stuff.
I mean, they've
like that.
updated the graphics. The graphics are updated
Yeah, it's
since
not
like
it has
Journey's
major-
End, I think.
It doesn't have insane graphics, but
Yeah, it's a pixel game.
Oh, what was I gonna say? So we'll get to the like what it is in a second, but you also played the remaster,
Yeah.
which has major graphical issues.
Yeah. The remaster's not good at all. Like every few seconds or every few seconds or so.
It flashbangs you.
Yeah. It'll do like a flash on the screen, or some item will like clip and then like cover your screen. Like there was one point where I was fighting and everything turned black. I think you guys were watching. But it's just crazy. Like I don't understand how that
Like
was
a
released.
light will just flicker, but it would glitch flicker, and your
Yeah.
whole screen would like light up for a second.
Yeah,
Like
It wasn't
so
game
weird.
breaking, really. I mean, I kind of got past that. That wasn't what made me like quit. It was really just the gameplay.
and I would have recommended you played the original, but you also got the remaster for free
Yeah.
through the Epic sale. So like,
Mhm.
might as well just play that because I bought the original for like $2, and I didn't have any issues like that at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually I was surprised that like it had high frame rate support and stuff like that.
That's crazy.
Like, no issues. And then like the remaster, which came out 2 or 3 years ago, has tons.
Did BioShock, any of the BioShock games, were they uncapped frame rates?
I
Or were
don't.
those 60?
I think they were uncapped.
I think uncapped, yeah.
Those games hold up.
Oh yeah,
And those are old, and that gameplay's still very good.
2008,
Yeah, they're pretty
2008,
old.
2009.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people actually like the Alan Wake gameplay. Basically, what it is you're fighting the darkness, which is we'll get to the spoiler section later, but they're surrounded by darkness, and you have to shine your flashlight on them first, and then you have to shoot them when the darkness shield is gone.
Mhm.
But the flashlight control is really weird. Did you play with keyboard or?
Keyboard. I was gonna play with controller, but
I play with keyboard and
I
mouse.
wasn't able to connect it for some reason.
Huh.
We should probably go over the basic story. So
Yeah.
For those who don't know, it follows Alan Wake. He's a very popular writer, kind of like Stephen King or something. And he goes to this small town for a break because he's unable to write his next book. Him and his wife, they go to this cabin, and then I don't know, stuff happens and things get weird, I guess. But yeah, the darkness is the main like evil or something. I don't know. I didn't find it that interesting. I thought I keep comparing it to the Root from Remnant.
Yeah.
I don't like when you say that because
But
like
to me, because I didn't finish the story, so I don't know everything. I don't know all the lore. To me, at the start, I'm like,
the
'cause
root is so bad.
I was even joking with Kale. I was like, oh no, the darkness. Like when they would throw these, like when the darkness would start controlling like the big items. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
You get the
like,
giant backhoe.
Yeah.
It's like
It's like
shoot the
this-
backhoe.
it's like
until it
this
dies.
nameless thing coming after you that doesn't have any like motive. But again, I don't know the whole story because I never finished the game. So
Mhm.
Yeah. So we're gonna be careful to talk like not to spoil before the spoiler section, but basically the darkness isn't an entity itself. It's a dimension. And I'll stop there for now, but the people you're killing are real people that were mind controlled by the darkness.
Oh.
So it's not like these faceless enemies. Like these are real people that are corrupted by it. So it's basically like the army of the overall evil, which there's a lot of theories and like other stuff like that about it. But it's way more interesting than the Root from Remnant, which is just like I don't even know what they are.
It exists.
Yeah.
Like
it's
what
not
is
even-
the goal? Why
such a
why is it
boring-
trying to take over stuff?
And it came back in the second game.
Yeah.
Even though you killed it.
Like why is it back randomly? Stuff like that. It's not as generic as it might seem on the surface. Not this like faceless evil, like with zero motive or whatever. There's more stuff about it that we'll talk in the spoiler section.
Yeah.
And
I mean, plus Control gives even more backstory
yeah, I'm excited
to
to play
everything.
Control. I'm
so
very excited to play Control next.
yeah.
But
But these are Remedy games. Remedy Studios made these. And Sam Lake is the creative director. And you saw this guy at the Game Awards. He
Mhm.
was the Finnish guy. He also was the face of Max Payne. And you're gonna see him a lot more, like
Mhm.
his face in various like different areas. He pops up a lot. these little cameos. And
He's more than just a cameo in Alan Wake 2.
I know, but I don't want to spoil things.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically they sold Max Payne to Rockstar, but they still want that property, sort of. Like, they still want to use it. And that became Alex Casey, or the books Alan Wake wrote. So basically, he wrote the Max Payne books.
Oh, okay. Huh.
Those are like his best sellers. Yeah, and there's so after the Alan Wake 1, there's American Nightmare, which is a standalone game, which you're probably not going to play. Chug didn't even play it.
I didn't play it.
We could even go over briefly in this one. But then there's Control in the same universe, and then there's also Alan Wake 2, the newest. But then there's Quantum Break, which is a Microsoft-owned property. Right. So they can't use some of the names of people in that. So what they did in Alan Wake 2 is they've slightly changed some of the names of people, even though they're the same characters from Quantum Break. And it's what I like about the Remedy games is they put a lot of creative effort into everything.
Yeah.
Like, all the music they make for the game. None of the music you hear is like just like random licensed music. They made it for the game.
Yeah.
In Alan Wake 2, it's really good. There's some really good parts in Control as well. But they really focus on art in the games. So there's like there's a storytelling and just being creative about it. And it's an experience mainly. It's an experience that you can theorize about, and like, there is an interesting story, but there isn't like one resolution. Like, you don't see the end of the story and be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. It's more like it makes more questions about the overall universe. Control is like that. So don't expect to like have things explained, but it introduces more things into the universe that you can talk about and theorize about and all this stuff.
Yeah, I think I have less appreciation for it because I'm playing the first installment and I don't have that context from Control and Alan Wake 2.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, getting 5 chapters in, I don't know, I was nearly done with chapter 5 and I still felt like I was fighting like this faceless random enemy. So I think
when you got to the end of Alan Wake, I'm not going to spoil right now, but even when you get to the end, it still leaves you confused, which is a good thing. It lets you kind of watch videos on it. We like those types of things though.
Yeah. I mean, I do too. I don't know.
Well, I know exactly what you mean, in that if I had played Alan Wake 1 years ago without any other context, I'd be like, it's an okay game. Like, for the time, the gameplay was fun for some people, annoying for others, but it wasn't standout except for maybe the story. Like, I really like Barry.
Yeah, he's a good character.
He's really the best character from that. But there are a lot of other characters, like the old guys.
With the hammer.
Yeah. Oh, that was really funny.
There's the sheriff.
The sheriff,
she's okay.
She was an okay character. She's sort of, you don't see her again, but like, you see, there's a lot of like spoilers and stuff. But like,
there's the wife.
The wife, yeah.
And then Alan Wake himself, which I find okay.
So he's way more interesting in 2.
Basically, he's a rich, stuck-up guy, like writer. He has more money than he knows what to do with. He just parties all the time, and kind of a jerk most of the time. And kind of this story throws him in the middle of like something where he actually has responsibility to fix, and it's more of like his actual character arc with him, where he goes from being this uncaring person to actually like doing things for the greater good.
I didn't know he was a partier, or maybe I didn't have that.
You didn't get to that scene in the apartment later on, where I think you said he was live action. I don't know. There's a lot of live action sections where he was saying how hungover he was when he was wearing the glasses.
Yeah,
because he was partying all night, and his wife left him a message saying like, you collapsed when you got home because you were so drunk and stuff like that. And lots of other stuff. Like he was rude to Barry on the phone a little bit, and just random stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's a pretty good character.
You can't really take the first game alone, really.
Yeah. I mean, I have to watch videos and but from what I heard, I mean, it seems like there's a lot of details woven into the game. Like I know you were saying there are these manuscript pages that you pick up, and those will kind of give you an insight into what could or what will happen later.
Yeah, all the pages you pick up tell you what is about to happen. So like you read the page and it talks about how a guy burst through the wall with a chainsaw, and at the end of the level that happens.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So you can generally expect what's coming next. There's nothing majorly, like no major surprises in the gameplay. Like the stupid inanimate objects that fly at you.
Yeah.
That one bridge part where you're trying to run across the you're running across the bridge, and these objects are just getting hurled at you.
Yeah.
And you basically have to like, it's trial and error. You basically have to figure out the ones that go first and then kill those. And if you don't kill them in time, they kill you. And then you're like,
well, the thing is,
really
you have flares, and those one-shot those usually. So
yeah, but I never wanted to waste my flares.
Yeah.
I would use them on like groups of like actual annoying enemies.
Oh, I only use flares on that stuff because it one-shots them, and then the actual enemies, I would use the handheld flares.
I'd say the gameplay is just repetitive. Like thinking back on it now, it's the same process where you hold your flashlight on a person until the shield breaks and you shoot them. And it just happens over and over. And then there are these sequences, and it's probably an old game thing, but there's these sequences where it's like, help me, I have to open the door, make sure I'm safe. And then you have to fight these waves.
Yeah.
Like, oh
Destiny.
my goodness. Yeah.
What is it? The good thing that Alan Wake 2 does is it gets rid of that annoying like, oh look, the camera aims at all the enemies that are coming at you.
Yeah.
And it's like 4 or 5 times per like area that you go through.
Yeah, that is weird.
And
That's
it's
a
like,
holdover from Max Payne.
it's very annoying.
Max Payne would walk into a room and it would zoom in on all these enemies walking out of a door, and then he could do like the slow-mo bullet time, which they are the first people to do bullet time in a game. But that's a holdover from that, and they stopped doing that after that game.
Yeah, that was,
which is good.
That is pretty weird.
It was really annoying after a while.
Yeah, American Nightmare is actually a very different game. Completely different.
Is it
the gameplay is actually fun.
Is it Alan Wake?
Yeah.
It's him?
It is him. So whenever we get to spoilers, we'll talk about that because it is a spoiler.
I mean, I have nothing else to say.
Okay.
From a well, I'll say this. From a standpoint of I have no context on the second game, Control, or what was the other one? Quantum Break. It's mediocre to me. But I think from what I hear from Jay and Caleb, it seems like with all the context, the universe is super interesting.
Yeah.
It is.
It's like they took a lot of inspiration from SCP, especially in Control. And it's like only playing that one SCP game we played with the dragon and stuff. Remember that really boring one we played?
Dragon?
Yeah, there be dragons
stories, SCP Secret Files.
Yeah, the little kid narrating it.
The dragon.
There were like the origami dragons.
And then there was
the
the carousel and the elephants or whatever.
Oh, I remember that. Well, some of those were good.
Yeah, but it's like getting your overall opinion about the SCP universe about that one game. And like just it was old, the gameplay wasn't great and stuff.
Yeah.
Like even though there was good stuff about it. But the rest of the universe as a whole and the other games are actually good.
And if you get the remaster, get it on console and not on PC.
Yeah,
definitely.
Play the non-remaster
haven't
on
fixed
PC.
it.
Yeah. So yeah, let's jump into spoilers,
right.
And then you guys can spoil me.
Give it a longer section for spoilers, just in case people need to catch up or whatever.
Yep.
And spoilers start now.
Okay.
So let's recap from the beginning, I guess. So what happens at the beginning is, Alan Wake and his wife are on a boat. That's where it starts, right? Or is it in a car?
It's a what is it
It's
called?
a dream sequence.
That sequence?
It starts out right in the action, and you're like fighting something.
Oh yeah, you're right. It is a dream sequence.
And then Alan Wake, she says, "Alan, wake up," which you always quote.
Alan, wake.
Yeah.
She says, "Wake up." But...
And then he wakes up in the car, and like they're on the way to vacation in Bright Falls, Washington. I think it is.
I think so.
And then they get on a ferry and they talk to people, which on the boat, you talk to Pat Maine, who is the radio guy. And then you hear him on the radio all the time.
Yeah.
And some of his radio conversations are pretty funny. He's even in Alan Wake 2, even older and like kind of senile. And some of those conversations are hilarious. And there's like this really like almost morbid storyline with him. I don't know if you remember or not. Is it the beef jerky?
Oh,
What happened?
Yeah, it's in Alan Wake 2, so
okay.
we'll have to talk about it later.
I
But
don't know. I have to like watch a video on Alan Wake 2 again.
yeah,
There's so many different things in that game.
but also like he does the radio stuff, so like they did a lot of like voice work with the radio and just had fun with it. You could tell they had fun with it. And then they also have Night Springs, which is a Twilight Zone clone. And they make like little mini episodes that are like 5 minutes long. They even replicated the intro to Twilight Zone and stuff.
Yeah,
The guy
that
who
was
sort
funny.
of sounds like it.
It'll be on the TV playing every now and then.
Mhm.
But what we find out later is Alan Wake started off his writing career writing for Night Springs.
Oh, okay.
So that's how he kicked off his whole career. He wrote a few episodes. But they get to Bright Falls and they go into the diner, and there's a girl named Rose there. She kind of like freaks out over him because she's his biggest fan or whatever she
With
says.
the cardboard cutout.
Yeah. So he goes into the back to get the key to the place they're staying, and the super creepy lady gives him the key, which I don't know how he thought that was normal.
Yeah.
Like the way she handed him the key, it was like between her fingers and she like flipped it up, like zoomed in on her face, all creepy. But anyway, he just takes the key like it was nothing. And then they go to the cabin, and you find out that the only reason they're there is because his wife set him up with an appointment with a doctor because he wasn't unable to write. He had writer's block, and she tricked him into going to see a psychiatrist. Basically,
Yeah, I thought that was super like
and so
disingenuous.
they fight, and then he leaves the house and hears her screaming, which she's also like has a huge phobia of the dark. So like the lights turn off, so she starts screaming. But then he gets up there, and next thing you know, he's waking up on the side of the road after crashing a car.
Well, he goes to the porch and then he dives in the water because she fell.
Yeah.
That's when he technically entered.
Yeah. So let's start from there, because after that point where the wife, I don't know if she did or not, quote unquote, fell off the porch into the water. What does that even mean? So when he jumped in the water, did he go to another dimension?
Yeah. So there's a dimension called the Dark Place, which is a very generic name, but that's what they kind of nicknamed it. And it's a dimension where we don't know who's the overall person who controls the entity, but there are a lot of entities in that dimension. And specifically, one entity is called the Dark Presence. It's like some sort of overall being that lives in that world, because there's quite a few. And there's more backstory we'll have to get to in a second. But basically, the entity uses art that's like truly like from imagination to actually change reality. So he uses Alan Wake's writing to change the world and kind of infect the world with a dark presence.
The real world.
Yeah. It really can't affect the real world by itself, but it needs like truly creative expression that is actually like dramatic enough. Like you can't just write like an Alan Wake is invincible and has a machine gun and all these things. Like he had to actually create a story that made sense. So he wrote the entire story of Alan Wake 2, everything that would happen to him, like him crashing the car.
Alan Wake 1?
Or Alan Wake 1 is what I mean. Him crashing the car, all these things, because the old lady forced him to write a story that would free her. But while he was in the Dark Presence, another person or entity in there named Thomas Zane talked to him and told him what was happening and made him kind of snap out of it, because he was actually working for the Dark Presence. He made all that stuff happen.
So Thomas Zane was the writer. Did he get trapped in that dimension?
Yeah, so there's a lot of backstory in him, but I'll just go over the Alan Wake's part first. So like Thomas Zane comes to him and says like, you need to actually like write, like here's how you can write yourself out of the story, like get out of the Dark Presence and save your wife. So he finds a way, like within writing, he mostly wrote like the Dark Presence was winning, but then slowly put like little things in there saying like, and like how he's gonna win. So he gets out, and all these things happen. Like there's a helicopter that Barry and the cop are in, and that crashes, but he wrote that to happen. But he also wrote that they survived. So he makes it dramatic to the point where like it's believable enough, because you can't just say, oh, and Alan Wake's the hero, he runs in and kills everything in the end.
So, okay. So those periods where you see on the TV, I think it is, where he's writing, is that him in the real world writing?
That's him in the Dark Presence.
Writing.
Yeah.
So he's seeing himself in the Dark Presence.
You're playing as his story.
You're playing as a story, and you get sneak peeks of him writing the story in the Dark Presence world.
So basically, he goes in, he writes the story, and in that story he wrote, he gets out, crashes the car, and that's where the start of his book begins. So he, from there, needs to remember like what's happening because he actually wrote himself to have amnesia in the story.
So he wrote the story, left, crashed the car, then begun the story that he wrote.
Yeah, and he knew he needed to go back because he needed to save his wife. His wife was stuck there, but he was able to write himself out of the story.
Okay.
So he basically has to figure out how to stop her, but he has no memory of it because that's what he wrote. So all those things that happened were written into the story. And then the doctor who kidnapped him was actually a friend of Thomas Zane's.
Oh.
And what he was doing was he was basically kidnapping people who were creative and had powers and trying to use them to control the Dark Presence for himself.
Wow.
Like the old guys who are the old gods of Asgard. They have special powers where they can actually see the future and stuff. Because they drank moonshine they made from the waters of the lake.
Oh.
So they actually gain powers that way, like gain sight and stuff like that.
So what happens at the end of the game? Because I got to the point where I was going towards the power station. They're in the helicopter. I didn't see him crash yet.
Yeah, so there's a helicopter. They go to the old gods of Asgard and they find out that the song says to find the lady of the night or the light or whatever. That's the lady that was at the beginning of the game and was like, "Don't go in the back there. There's evil things."
Oh yeah.
She was actually she had a huge crush on Thomas Zane, and he had communicated with her that she needs to do these certain things. So like he told her how to survive the Dark Presence, and she built this room like in a vault. What'd she call it? Like the light room or
the room of? I thought it was the room of light or something like that.
The well-lit room.
Well-lit room.
It was like basically this giant vault that had lights on it and like no shadows at all, so nothing can get to it. Do you remember when he told his wife the story of how he was a kid and his mom gave him the little light switch called the clicker? So they get to this the well-lit room, and there's a shoebox and it has the clicker in it. And like he has no idea how it even got there, because you find out that Thomas Zane, who was a poet previously, had originally written or found a way into the Dark Presence, and his girlfriend, Barbara Jagger, got stuck in there. So he went in after her to find her and ended up, he thought he set her free. So his dramatic story was writing himself and the island out of existence. So the island vanished. That's how everyone says it vanished 50 years ago. So he basically erased himself from existing anywhere except for like this higher plane or whatever. So like there's still a lot of mystery around him, but he sent Barbara Jagger out, but he didn't do it in a way that was smart. So he actually let the Dark Presence out in the form of that old lady who was Barbara Jagger. So he wrote her out of the story, but didn't do it in the correct way. So then he wrote another one where he had planned for Alan Wake when Alan Wake was born to do this.
What?
So he wrote the clicker story. He wrote that his mom gave him the clicker.
He wrote Alan Wake into existence too?
That's up to debate right now. It's possible.
Wow.
Some people say he's a reincarnation of Thomas Zane or something. But he, at the very least, because basically with the story, you can't create things out of nothing. You can only change reality. So like if someone's already named Alan Wake, then you could possibly say an Alan Wake like goes to the store, and that person would go to the store, and then your writing is coming true. But basically he wrote the clicker in advance, and then I don't even know how he got the clicker. Alan Wake gave it to his wife at the cabin, right?
Did he? Oh wait,
I thought he did, unless his wife had it with her. That's okay. That's how it happened. He had given it to his wife when he told her the story, and she must have had it on her in the cabin. So it ended up in the Dark Presence. But one thing that Thomas Zane wrote into the story was that there's a loophole that anything that's in a shoebox can be like sent through different realities. So he sent it through a shoebox to Alan Wake. And so he gets the clicker, and then he makes his way to the Dark Presence. Like, he says goodbye to Barry, and like Barry's all sad and stuff because he thinks he's gonna die and all that. You actually don't see Barry again. He's not dead, but like he's off doing his own thing. And then Alan Wake goes to the Dark Presence. He finds Barbara Jagger in there, and he uses the clicker and kills Barbara Jagger, kills the Dark Presence, setting his wife free, but trapping himself in the Dark Place permanently.
Oh.
So he's now in the Dark Place, and he starts writing a book called Return, where he's going to get himself out.
That's the second game.
Yes, sort of. Yeah.
It's like half of it.
So the DLCs are him in the Dark Place. So it starts out in the Dark Place. Thomas Zane comes to him, and he's wearing the scuba suit because he used to like go scuba diving down there and stuff. That's how he found the Dark Place to begin with. And he goes to him and says, like, I'm not actually Thomas Zane. I'm like an entity like controlled by him or something. But he tells him what he needs to do. And so what happens is Alan's like personalities are separated. So like the part of him that's like fear is separated somewhere else. And then the part of him that like actually takes action is somewhere else. So in that first DLC, he goes and finds the fear part of him, and they like merge or whatever. Because that one's like literally crippled, like laying on the floor, can't do anything. So he has to go and find like these other parts of himself or whatever. And then that's the first DLC. The second one, I don't even remember what the point of it was, but you fight some creature. Not creature, but like some version of the entity. And you fight like Barry and stuff as a manifestation of his own thoughts. Because the Dark Place like uses your own thoughts against you. So basically, I think that's when it talks about Return. The ending, he starts writing Return. Because the DLCs are basically him like learning how the Dark Place works and coming to grips with it. And then he starts writing Return, and you will also see that the Dark Presence is sending out a doppelganger of Alan Wake out to the real world called Mr. Scratch. So like Mr. Scratch is like that's a name for the devil, Old Scratch or whatever. But also it means like he scratches out Alan's writings and changes it. So he's able to change Alan's writings. So then they get to
people also said that his name could be like how you pronounce his name or something is like. Because it sounds like someone's scratching on a piece of paper or something. There's like a lot of like iterations of it. It's weird.
So then that takes us to the American Nightmare, which is a failed attempt of Alan Wake of getting out. It's actually a Night Springs episode. And it actually starts off with Barry watching Night Springs. And that's like the last time you see Barry. But you hear him on the radio and stuff in that game. And that game is basically a time loop that goes over like 3 times it loops. And then you play it similarly, but the people still remember that it's a time loop, so they like help you out in between. And then at the very end, he kills Scratch, which I kind of wish we could pull up the video that I sent you of Scratch dancing. Yeah. He's really weird in that game. Like he's dancing to music, and he's a serial killer. And so he's killing people. But technically, that version of Scratch was written in by Alan, so that's why he appeared in that way. So like he killed that version of Scratch, but that was like a different one that he wrote and came up with. So yeah, there's a lot there. Yeah.
Wow. I have to go to the bathroom really bad. But so
okay.
Let's wrap this up. Yeah, I mean, wow, that's a lot to go over. It definitely sounds more interesting now hearing the full context of it. I didn't know there was a dark presence. I didn't know there was a dark realm. And then the Dark Presence is separate. But it's also interesting to know that there's other entities in that dark realm.
And there are many other realms.
Yeah, that's
in
interesting.
the universe. At least in Control, there you can see that. I won't spoil it, but like there's this place where there are these doors with symbols on it. There are like 6 or 7 doors, something like that. And the Dark Presence has its own symbol. And there's all these other symbols that haven't even been like tapped into yet. And you do go to at least 1 or 2 other realms in Control. And then like the old gods of Asgard, they actually might be like the Thor and Odin.
Oh wow.
the rest of their band, their names are like Mimir and stuff like that. I forget. Like they all have actual names like that, and there are other like god characters. So yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff about that you'll have to play Control, and it's really confusing.
Yeah.
You get thrown into it, and you're like, I don't even know what's happening right now.
Yeah, I'll have to watch a video.
But yeah,
that's
we're excited to get into the rest of the games because they just expand on it and are way more interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna do Control next, so then we'll do Alan Wake 2, and I think slowly we'll be able to all talk about the story as a whole. So,
and then there are 2 Alan Wake DLCs that we haven't played yet because they haven't come out, and we can talk about those later this year.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for listening, everyone, and we will see you in the next episode.